Hello, hello. Welcome to RamGoatAstrology. I'm Laura Lee, and we have Helena and a guest on today. And her name is Zorana, and she is located in Serbia.
Serbia.
So say hi.
Hello, everyone. This part is always hard for me to introduce myself.
Of course it is. We saw that in your chart. Don't worry. We'll talk about that.
maybe
Okay.
we can introduce you.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and introduce you. So today you're getting a astrology reading with us. And Zorana and I actually know each other from another group we're doing. We're doing a business accelerator program together called Magnetic, and we got connected that way. And I just felt this pull. I was like, I want to do a reading for her. So I asked her, and here we are. So I'm excited to dive in today. And you did submit a couple questions. So Helena, you want to read one or two of those, and then we can open the chart and dive on in?
Yeah. Okay, so we asked you a couple of questions. We sent you a form. And you said that you would like to have a reading about business, finances, or anything that catches your eye. And you also added, is it possible to see if I will have more children? I have a daughter born on 1st of January 2010. So you're wondering about your finances and if you'll have another kid. And we asked you, how did you find us? And you answered magnetic.
Yeah.
And I really love that.
That's such a great word.
Yeah, and you have had an astrology reading before, and you do know quite a lot about astrology already, right?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So have you done some
It's only a
self-studies
hobby,
or?
yeah. Just as a hobby, but it's been going on for years, on and off.
Yeah.
You know, I have like periods when I'm all into astrology, reading everything, watching podcasts and stuff. And
That's
then
how it
like
happens.
a couple of months, I do nothing. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
On and off. Yeah. But I do love astrology.
Yeah. I feel that's usually how it starts.
It is. That's how it gets you, reels you in. That's how we started. We both kind of started as just, checking our charts, learning about ourselves. And I've had a couple readings from a couple different astrologers, and I love the various interpretations. I love how people see it. It's like going to a museum and seeing art on the wall, and somebody sees it this way and someone sees it that way. And it's just so cool to hear all of the various interpretations of it. So I'm glad you're hanging out with us today.
Yeah, I'm really glad too, because I also like to hear various interpretations of my chart. It's always interesting.
It is, because like you said, Laura, it's like different people notice different things, because in a chart there is so much to see. It's almost it doesn't stop with the information, so you cannot possibly talk about everything in one sitting. And different people's eyes are drawn to different things, and so that's great, I think, to actually have readings from a couple of different astrologers.
And I love how the different astrologers typically have people in their life or experiences themselves with various placements and how that showed up for them. And then you do a reading for someone, you go, oh, I know this person and this is how it showed up for them. How did it show up for you? And then you can get more information in your toolbox. And it's just absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to go ahead and pull your chart up here. So for those of our people watching, you can see her chart. And then for those of you listening, we'll just walk you through it. So we've got Zorana's birth date is September 8th, 1984. And I have 6:10 in the morning. Is that correct, my dear?
It's actually PM.
It is PM. Okay. Well,
did I put AM? Sorry.
Let me go ahead. That's okay. No worries. No worries.
Interesting.
That's
why... Surprise.
Right?
That's a surprise. We actually looked at your chart a little bit before, but now it's all out the window. No, it's okay. It makes it more interesting.
It does. Well, I want to see how much it changes it actually, because now my brain's like, ooh, what are we going to see now? So it'll be...
Okay. You were a Virgo rising, and now you're an Aquarius rising.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. interesting.
Yes.
All right. My brain just loved that challenge. All of a sudden it's like, ooh, something different. Oh, this is why I confirm birthdays and birth times, because that really changed everything. It really flipped the entire chart.
Yeah.
So the placements of the planets are all still the same. It's the houses that they show up in and the area of life that the planet manifests. So the birth time is quite important, especially between AM and PM.
Yeah, that's a huge chunk of time. Yeah, because yeah, it
Okay,
just
so
every
the
hour the
time,
ascendant changes.
so the time would also change the houses?
That's what it does
Yes.
change. Yes.
Oh,
So you
okay.
still had
Okay.
Mars conjunct Uranus before, when we had it at 6:10 a.m. It was just down here on the cusp of the 3rd and 4th house. Now it's up here on the
Okay.
cusp of the 9th and 10th house. So it literally
Okay.
flips all of the houses around. Yeah. Which is so intriguing to
Okay.
my brain now.
This is a totally different
You're
piece of
gonna
cake.
have fun. We're
Yeah.
all gonna have fun.
Yeah.
So Zorana, just so you know, we use I've been using, I mean, I guess I'm not locked into it by any means, but we've been using the Campanus house system, Campanus, Campanus. And I chose this house system because it's based on spatial awareness in space instead of time. So time is the human construct, but the Campanus system actually cuts up the houses into literally like based on space chunks and the size of the earth and all of that fun stuff. So it gets more into the geometry of it versus the time of things based on the human construct. So I've found this to be more interesting and a little bit more accurate. And when you have this system, you typically have this situation more often. So this is an intercepted sign. So it means your first house starts in Aquarius and it ends over here. Actually, it ends in Taurus. So you have 2 intercepted signs in the first house. And when we've done our research and looked into this, and I know Jessica Lagnato is a astrologer we both listen to, she talks about this a lot. This is an energy that we are eventually going to tap into, but we don't really have like access to it when we're younger. It's like an energy that our parents or our upbringing kind of suppressed in us, and we have to kind of grow into it and learn how to experience it. So for you, that's Pisces and Aries in your first house, and then Virgo and Libra in your 7th house. So that's a super interesting chart thing that just jumped out at me right away there. Helena, what's jumping out at you?
So what's interesting to me was that first, when we had your other chart, that was the wrong chart. You had your ascendant conjunct your sun, and now you have another really interesting ascendant point, because you have the moon conjunct your ascendant.
Yeah.
Which and it's in Aquarius. So and when we looked at your chart before and the placements of the planets, a few things came up about being eccentric and like pulling that out. And now when you even have your ascendant in the sign of being eccentric and in the sign of Aquarius, which is this like super weird persona.
Weirdo.
Yeah. Weirdo. And the moon there, so like that means that you have an emotional need to let this eccentricity out and to be this unique person and go your own way. And this really shifts everything in the chart. Like it's really, I just see so much Aquarius here. Yeah. And for me, with also this ascendant conjunct moon placement, but in another sign, to me, I read this as you really wear you have the feelings are sort of worn on your sleeve. Like it's hard for you to hide how you're feeling. You might not tell people why you're feeling the way you're feeling, but people will see it. Like if you're happy, it's just phew. And if you're sad or angry, it's written like all over your face.
Yeah, it's almost like you wear a sweatshirt with like your emotions on that day, and you can't hide it. That's typically how moon with conjunct the rising. It's only 5-6 degrees apart. shows up. How does that show up for you? Do you tend to really be showing your emotions?
No.
Interesting.
But do you
I
feel
would
like because go on.
Mostly people tell me that my facial expression is like that no one could read me. They even tell me that I have like some sort of a poker face and that I can play poker. But what I did with my emotions is I was blogging about them, and I literally had millions of views of my blog. But later I, shut it down. But this might be because of this moon on my ascendant, is
yes.
that I did write a lot about my emotions publicly.
So I was curious about that because I've seen you in class, and when I saw originally what you had a Virgo rising, I was like, yeah, she definitely shows up as a lot of Virgo. And now with Aquarius rising, my brain's like, the thing with Aquarius, even with a rising and a moon, it's almost impossible to predict how that person will show up. So typically with a moon conjunct your rising, you will not be able to hide your emotions. However, here's a great example of how astrology really kind of can play with the energy. Aquarius is so unique that they can show up like that, where you could have a really good poker face and you could hide that because of the eccentric nature of the sign. Like it's so unpredictable. So for you, it feels like you really intellectualize, and your emotional state is really processed up here, and you keep the outer showing of it more private until it's time, and then you write it out, which would be the intellectual way you processed your emotions. So that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting to me to see. I don't know many Aquarius rising people at all. So it's interesting for me to see how the various ones that I do know show up. And a couple of them, I think I know maybe 4. And 2 of them, you and another one, show up like this, where it's like you said, the poker face. And the other 2 are just like pink hair and really, really like very Aquarius. Very Aquarius. So that's the nature of the sign, though. That's what I love about it. You can't predict it. It's so crazy like that.
And sometimes also with Aquarius, if there's like a mainstream idea about something, and it's like all of the people who are like this look like this or something, then you will know for sure that Aquarius people will go exactly the opposite of that.
Yep.
So Aquarius doesn't like to be like one in a sheep in a herd.
Yeah. And if you are, you're going to be like a rainbow colored sheep. You're not going to be a regular colored sheep.
Yeah, I do like being different. And actually it was hard for me to connect with people and to like have long lasting, meaningful friendships and stuff. I do have friendships, deep ones, but with people who are similar to me. My best friend is also Aquarius rising.
That makes sense.
There's that. Yeah.
Well, and when we're talking about the friendships, you've got this really interesting placement up here with Mars at 12 degrees Sagittarius and then Uranus at 9 degrees Sagittarius. And when you have those together, this really creates this strong desire for anything unusual. So your friendships need to be unusual. That's anything you do, whether it's, your work or and we'll talk about career because that's definitely involved in that. It has to be unique and unusual. And you typically will have kind of weird passions and weird interests, right? Like Uranus rules astrology. And then of course, human design is a branch of that. So, and I know you're very interested in both of those. So that's this placement here, but it's also this rising sign and this moon. Emotionally, you really need all things strange and unique to feel emotionally fulfilled. So it's a really interesting connection with Mars and Uranus, and then this rising and moon in Aquarius. You're very Aquarian nature there for sure.
Yeah, one astrologer told me, because I've been in a relationship, I think 7 years now, maybe 8.
Mhm.
But I know this man from like 20 years ago. We were in the relationship back then also. So we were like 3-4 times on and off. And then she told me like, it's all because of you.
That's nice to hear.
Like,
It's
this is how you like it to
mm,
sometimes just stand back a little bit and then or break it off, or just I do have like periods when I'm just step back a little bit from the relationship so that I can, look at it and then go back in again. And
Yes.
then she said, like, this is all you.
So where I see that is immediately we've got the moon opposite Mercury, and Mercury's in your
Mhm.
7th house of one-on-one partnerships. So we've got this moon that wants to love and be loved, but also be very independent. And then we've got your mind in this partnership house in Virgo at 0 degrees Virgo. So you are very analytical. So you just said I had to step back from the relationship
Yeah.
and look at it and then go back in. If that doesn't describe that placement exactly, like, I don't know what does. And it's in opposition. So in opposition is where we have balance issues, right? Where I stepped out of the relationship, then I came back in, and then I stepped out and I came back in. And the first house is the house of I and the self, and the 7th house is we and us. So you just described that perfectly, how that imbalance can show up within relationship. Absolutely. That was awesome. Oh, Helena, we can't hear you all of a sudden. We just lost your sound. Where'd you go? I see you talking.
Hello?
There we go. You're better.
Okay, I muted myself.
Oh, there we go.
Actually. Yeah. Yeah, the first house and the 7th house are the biggest ones in your chart. So for sure that question of the pull between the I and the us is plays a huge part in your life, and especially because you do have your moon, your emotional needs. You have to. It's in the first house. It's a strong need to be independent.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Laura, across the pond there in Virgo, in the 7th house, you have Mercury, and also in the 7th house you have a lot more. You have 4 planets in the 7th house of relationships. One of them is the sun. So whatever house the sun shines up in someone's chart is also a very significant house. It literally just like lights it up. So the 7th house and relationships for you is huge. You also have Pluto there. Pluto, who rules like transformation, deep transformation, also in the 7th house of relationships. And you have Venus there in Libra. So you have this just wanting everything to be harmonious and in balance and beautiful within relationships.
And that's a beautiful placement, because Venus rules Libra and Libra rules the 7th house. So like you couldn't get any more awesome of a placement than that. So for you, you love being in this healthy, nurturing relationship that's a give and take. And I'm guessing for you, when you step out of a relationship, it's because you're not feeling the respectful give and take. It's probably more give, and then the resentment starts to build up, and then your analytical Virgo brain goes, wait a minute, hang on, and then you step back so you can see it, and then your independent moon goes, are we getting our needs fulfilled? Are we getting our emotional bucket filled? And that's really how that's going to show up with that Venus in Libra. Like you really thrive with healthy relationship of a mutual give and take. But the second there's imbalance there where you're giving too much, ooh, yeah, nope, that doesn't work for you at all.
Yeah, that's all correct.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, like you've been in my relationships.
Yeah. And
But
the healthy relationships you have, have that balance, that give and take, that's really feels good, right? And then the ones where you have to step back and look at it, it's because there's been that resentment. Libra tends to be a yes placement. Whenever you have placements in Libra, you become like a yes person. And when you become the yes person too much, your Virgo mind, your Mercury in Virgo goes, wait a minute, wait. And it's almost like you need a pros and cons list then.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then I see this, your sun in Virgo jumps out at me because it's square to this Mars Uranus conjunction. So while the sun is lighting up this 7th house and making relationships and business contracts and marriage and all of those one-on-one things, it's making that a very prominent point in your life. Mars and Uranus up here are going, wait a minute. Whoa. Are we being eccentric enough? Are we following our own thing? Are we doing our own thing? Right? Like you then become a rebel and you like to stir up trouble and add more chaos to the relationship.
True. Everything
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
I hope my boyfriend doesn't listen to this when it's out.
This is important though, because it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
And you need to be with somebody who knows you're gonna stir shit up. You are the one who stirs the pot and then runs away to watch what happens afterwards. And then you just like your moon in Aquarius, you just get the kicks from that. You're like, look at what I did. That's fun. Like you like it. And there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to be with somebody who respects that about you. Right. So like that's a really important aspect of your relationships. And they need to know you're going to stir the pot. And that if they really like you and they really want to stick around, they need to learn to be okay with that. Because that's fun for you.
Is your partner good with sort of the aftermath of these chaotic stirrings of the pot?
Sorry, how did you ask? Is he good with?
If it's how does he respond to when this happens for you? Like when you find a way to stir the pot because you need something to happen or something to change.
Well, it depends.
Depends how badly you stir it, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes he gets upset, but like then we talk it out and it's all good. Because when I do this, I do it like it looks like it's him, it's not me.
Interesting.
Nice.
And then when we talk it out and I realize that it's mostly me, then we're good.
That's so interesting that you were able to flip it.
Yeah.
And make it seem like it's him. But so I think that's the energy, how this energy of this square is showing up. When you've got these square energies between the planets, it's a really restrictive influence. It's like you have a kink in your hose. The water still comes out, but at a trickle. It's not that healthy fifth dimension energy where it's like the higher vibration. It's more that third dimension energy where we're still like stuck in piddly stuff, almost like little kid kind of stuff, right? So in order to work with this square, you really have to require this, it requires this awakening of tolerance. You need to know that your sun is very, very, very moved by relationships. Your willpower and your vitality, relationships are a big part of you. However, and it's restricting this feeling you have to be eccentric and independent and a rebel and light things on fire. So you have to create this, almost like become the observer and create a tolerance around this energy within you. And when you're feeling this urge within relationship to stir the pot, you can say, hey, I'm feeling like causing some trouble. Like just call it out. And then the two of you can channel that troublemaking energy into something productive, into something constructive instead of destructive. So whether that's going and throwing axes, going axe throwing, or it's typically going to be doing something. Sagittarius wants to go try new things. Sagittarius wants to travel and play and have fun. So typically, if you have that urge to start trouble or to stir up the pot, right? Like we were talking, you can speak that out loud and say, this is where I'm at. I don't want to destroy us and I don't want to cause a problem, but man, I'm feeling bored. I'm really wanting to get into some things. And then say, I need some help channeling this. What can we go do? Can we go for a hike? Can we go for a day trip somewhere? Just taking a day trip to a park and going on a hike, even that would be a really good experience for you. So channeling that creative genius into something that's not destructive.
But I would be curious to because I'm looking at your part of this T-square that Laura pointed out is connected to Chiron in the 3rd house.
Yeah.
And the 3rd house is all about communication, and Chiron is our wound. So I'm curious as to how the communication is from your side. Do you feel like you can freely communicate, or
that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Yes and no?
Yes and no. Yeah, because sometimes I'm like you said, okay, now I want to destroy something and it's gonna be us.
Yep.
Yeah, and now as you were talking, I realized that, okay, I can do it in a different way, because first I go with the attack, then I want to go somewhere, and he then tells no, of course.
It's rude. Yeah.
You just were a jerk. No, I don't want to go with you.
No.
Yeah.
So that would make sense that it's sometimes yes and sometimes no, with Chiron being in Gemini. Gemini is duality. It's the twins. Sometimes you can communicate great and sometimes it's a shit show.
Yeah.
That's what that wound is. The key with Chiron, he looks like a little key. The key with Chiron is to really create awareness that for you, communication is where your self-esteem wound lies. So whenever you do have that, like that kind of feeling of worthiness, or am I enough, or am I, can I communicate, or I'm a crappy communicator, those doubts and that yucky self-talk, that's this guy right here. That's your self-esteem wound. So how we deal with that and heal that is by nurturing it, right? If you have a cut on your arm, you don't go out and grind mud into it, right? You keep it clean and you tend to it and you treat it very gently. So same thing with you with your communication. Be very gentle with yourself. Your Virgo mind likes to really judge, like really judge. And it's connected to your sun in Virgo. So you judge yourself quite harshly for if you didn't communicate enough, or if you over communicated, or if there's this back and forth. Create awareness around that this is in your nature, and then be gentle with yourself and be patient with yourself. Find some audiobooks or some podcasts on how to communicate better. Read more about Chiron in Gemini and how to work through that. And it's also in your 3rd house, which is ruled by Gemini and is all about communications. So it's like double. You get like extra work to do here. The thing is, once you do the work, it does heal. Like you do heal the wound, and you do get really good at going, oh yeah, I used to be so triggered and I was not a good communicator, but I worked through it and I took classes and I read books, and now I'm really flipping good, right? Like you get through that, and you can then show people your scar without feeling the wound. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done any kind of communication courses or read books on it or anything?
I read a lot of books on communication. I also learned a lot about it in hypnotherapy school. So I became quite good at it, but I still have this kind of wound. Even when you asked me for the podcast, I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna talk in English?
You're doing it.
You're doing great. Look at you
Yeah,
talking
I
in English.
know.
Look at you go.
I know, I'm so good at it. I mean, I also did some, so to say, high-class translations for government and stuff like that, you know. So I know I'm good, but there's always this thought, even with the client. I mean, I want to work in English. I want to work globally, but I always think, oh my God, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
Even though in the school, with all the practices we've had, all of my partners made some results, even though it was just a practice, and all of the people I worked with had no problem with my English, but I'm the one who has.
Yeah, for sure. But that's great work for your Chiron in the third house, and you're really pushing yourself there.
That's perfect.
And
that's perfect. Yeah.
And I had a thought about this explosiveness with your partner, and seeing the connection between the Sun and Mars, which is also your drive within relationships, and Chiron. I thought that maybe you have those explosions to sort of test how he will respond, and to see, because your self-esteem is involved with Chiron, to test will he still be there even after I explode.
For sure. It might have been the case before, a couple of years ago, but then I thought that he would stay, so
So you give a little less
that's not
testing
the
now.
reason anymore, but yeah, it did happen sometimes because of that.
Yeah, for sure. So one of your questions was about career, correct?
Yes. Since we are like, I've had many careers. I don't know
Yeah,
if
you
you
have.
can see that. Yeah.
Yep.
We can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I even worked as a speaker on the radio, so there's the communication stuff.
Oh, I love that. Like, that's all of the things you've listed is just like check mark down the boxes of here's how I'm healing my Chiron, right? Like, it's like you got a spreadsheet there, which your Virgo mind loves.
Yeah.
You got a spreadsheet on how you've been healing your Chiron. That's so great. I don't know if you've ever taken a moment to honor that, but you like.
No, I didn't.
Let's just take a moment.
well
Number
done.
one, you've learned a foreign language and you've gotten really, really good at it. That's phenomenal. Chiron, third house,
many
Gemini.
languages.
How many?
Yeah. I speak German and English really good, and a little bit of French, maybe some Italian. I don't know. I'm not sure, but like just
Karen
like
speaking.
beginner. Also, like Russisch, we learned that in school or something. Yeah,
Girl.
I love. That's my like. Those are my hobbies, and Spanish, of course.
Spanish.
And Spanish. So you just listed like 6 languages. Okay. So that's really freaking cool and such a great way to heal your Chiron wound. Like, I just can't, I'm kind of floored. That's perfect example of somebody leaning into that, where I'm not sure, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it's worth mentioning your North Node is right there as well. And we don't talk about North Nodes a lot on our show, but it's for your spiritual leveling up, your spiritual evolvement is to learn to speak many languages and to communicate in many, many, many ways. Such a Gemini concept. And Gemini is the connector of the heavens and the earth. It's the pillars that connect the heaven and the earth. So, even getting into all the woo-woo stuff with light language and getting into that realm. And you've already done hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So, like, you're just so embodying that part of your chart. I love that. I need to yay you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And usually the North Node sort of kicks in more when we approach 40. So later in life, so you're really, really leaning into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've read something about it. I think the book is called Astrology for the Soul
Oh
or
yeah,
something like that.
Jan Spiller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
good.
so I did read about it. It was hard to read it because oh my God.
There's a lot of information
That's
in
so
there.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it gave me some insights and like right now what I'm mostly considering about my work, since I'm currently still a teacher and a hypnotherapist and a coach, so all of that.
All of that.
I teach German and like English and Serbian, but
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just looking at your chart and you're
I
just so
know, yeah.
speaking your chart.
Yeah.
I love it.
So like I'm considering leaving the teaching job and just doing hypnotherapy and coaching.
Okay.
I'm like 80% sure about that.
You have a timeline that you're thinking of doing that.
Well, it should have already happened.
Oh, no shooting here now, lady. Take your Virgo and check it. No shooting on this show.
What's keeping you from doing it though?
I'm not sure. Communication.
I think it's the
actually.
timing.
Social media communication.
I think it's the planetary timing, actually. I
Really?
really do. Yeah, I think it's coming.
Oh,
You're
okay.
really, really close. You're kind of on the precipice. Like you're getting your gear on so you can jump off the cliff, but you're not ready to jump off. You got to check your safety devices. You got to make sure you got all the right gear
Exactly.
before you launch off the cliff, because you're not going to jump off and your parachute not open, right? So what I see with the hypnotherapy is that's the realm of Pisces. That's the Pisces realm. And for you, Pisces is intercepted. So again, this is energy you really have to kind of grow into. And we just entered Pisces season yesterday with the sun. And now March 7th, Saturn is going to enter Pisces. And this is your first house of showing up in the world. As soon as Saturn moves there, you're going to start to feel very disciplined about Pisces energy. So you're going to get really disciplined about, okay, what is my plan to be a hypnotherapist and to do this full time? What programs do I need? What spreadsheets do I need? What booking systems do I need? Saturn creates the structure so you can do the woo-woo that is Pisces, right? And hypnotherapy definitely falls into that category. Also, during that transit, you'll have a square energy to Mars and Uranus, which is right at the top of your chart in your 10th and 9th house. Like they straddle your 9th and 10th house. This is the house, the 10th house is the house of your purpose and your career and what you contribute to the world. So you're very driven to contribute to the world. Like that is your drive. You're very driven for your career. And Uranus is all about, I need freedom. I need independence. I have to keep changing. I need to do this and that and this and that. And your brain is so interested in all of the things. And of course, they're both in Sagittarius, which loves to learn and teach. So number one, let's shift your thinking away from the concept of, I want to be done with teaching. You need to know you're never going to be done with teaching.
I mean, coaching, isn't that in a way also teaching?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
It's just going to shift. Your teaching is going to shift. So you are on this earth to be a teacher. That is what you're here to do. You can't have Neptune, Mars, and Uranus at the top of your chart, all in Sagittarius, and not be an educator in some way, shape, or form. Like that's just who you is. So recognize that you embody being an educator. And it's just, instead of educating in what you're doing right now, you'd like to shift. So we're just making a shift. Instead of stopping something and starting something, we're just kind of shifting to a new thing. Does that feel better for you?
Yeah, so much better.
Yeah.
Because with your NC in Sagittarius, you will probably feel the need, and you will, jump from different jobs in your lifetime, because Sagittarius is an adventurer and needs to try new things and experience and learn so that you can teach things to the world.
Especially other cultures.
And especially other cultures with all the languages that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when Saturn goes into Pisces now, it will and light up Pisces, it will sort of make a full square, not a T-square, but it will make sort of that fourth leg.
Yep.
So I think that will be really helpful for your T-square to sort of draw that energy to a more, instead of the like the tension that it is now, it will have a more, not circular, but it will have sort of a more easier flowing, stable.
Yeah, it creates a foundation.
Yeah.
So right now you've got a 3-legged table. You got Sun in Virgo, you got these two up here hanging out in Sag, and then you've got your Chiron down here in Gemini. And really, I put Pallas Athena on charts, and so this is an asteroid. She actually could be your fourth leg. I don't have aspects drawn to her.
Yeah, it looks like it. Could be.
So she could be your fourth leg, but right when Saturn and planets transit around this section, middle of Pisces, that's where you're going to really feel more stability, because you'll have a 4-legged table instead of a 3-legged table, right? You'll be able to build a good solid foundation in order to go up. You can't build a skyscraper on 3 legs, right? It doesn't work. So you have to have that fourth leg. And for you, Pallas Athena is at 13 degrees, and that would actually complete this square quite nicely. So she's our asteroid of wisdom and negotiations and also battle strategy. So if you do need to go to war, she doesn't want to, but if you do, she's the one you turn to. And it's in your first house. You're really, really wise when it comes to all things Pisces, which is global healing and past life healing, generational trauma healing, all things artistic and intuitive. So your wisdom really, really comes from this Pisces energy. And as soon as Saturn comes over here in the next year or so, you're going to feel this strengthening of the stability of your new thing, your hypnosis and your hypnotherapy. That's when it's really going to get a solid foundation. We'll have to go in and look at exactly when that will happen. We'll check the ephemeris and see when that will happen. But Saturn takes about 3 years to go through here. So I'm guessing in about a year or a year and a half, you'll really feel more solidly and more of a solid foundation and a solid footing. Does that feel like a good time frame for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually great.
Good, right? Because we'll be going through our business program for the next 5 months or so. So that's 5 months of that time frame where you'll be working on creating that footing and that foundation. So that feels really good as far as you really shifting from teaching one thing to teaching another thing.
And I went to look at your the solar return chart for when you had your birthday last year. So that would have been September 2022. And in that chart, you have your MC in Leo, another fire sign, but one that more is willing to be sort of on the stage and be seen. And do you feel that this year, has it already kicked in that you that career-wise you're actually being more out there and putting yourself on a stage for people to look at and sort of taking the lead also in something?
Yes, a little bit more, because like I graduated, I think in May last year, and then I just did nothing about hypnosis and social media and stuff. But somewhere, I think September, October, maybe November.
Yep.
I started being present on social media, not like every day, but a couple of times a month.
But putting yourself out there a little bit more. That's what Leo energy is. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
Cool. So I'm guessing that will really help you propel you forward to what it is that you want to do now and getting it out to the masses, the information about what you're doing, so that they can reach you.
Yeah, but what I had also end of December, something happened in my relationship, and then I just stopped doing everything.
Yeah.
Like I was hurting, and I just said, okay, I'm not gonna do any work stuff, any new work stuff, hypnotherapy, and so I didn't. I just stopped it.
Yeah, for sure. With all of your relationship stuff in the 7th house, if you are hurting in any way, you've got Pluto and Venus there, it's going to put a stop on a lot of the things that you do and a lot of the things you take action on, especially you've got Pluto with a trine to your moon. So if you emotionally are hurting and you are not feeling like doing that work, you're not going to. You're just not. And it's important for you to honor that about yourself and honor that things do need to pause for you to heal and pause so that you can reflect and see what you're doing. It's very, very important for your chart. Your chart has so much on the upper hemisphere here, the outer, this is the sun was shining. This was the daytime planets. So these were all out in the day, and these down here, what houses 1 through 6 were all in the darkness. And you've got so much in your chart that is affected by and affects other people. And that's a big part to take note of, is when you're not okay, you do need to go into that internal space, into the quiet space. It's very important that you do that, because Sirius is the planet down here. This is a dwarf planet, and it's an asteroid dwarf planet. And this is how we feel nurtured and nourished. Not the same thing as emotional, but this is like when you eat a really good meal or you have a really good orgasm, your body and your soul just feel so nurtured and so good. And for you, this is in Taurus and in the 2nd house ruled by Taurus. So your nourishment and nurturing comes from that downtime, watching movies, reading books, cuddling up with a fuzzy blanket on the couch and just not talking to anybody, and eating really good, yummy food. And, just be. That's really important for you. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you do that enough?
I think not enough. Yeah.
Probably not.
I could increase on that. Yeah. Like lately I've been realizing how much I'm actually, what's the opposite of praise? Like scolding myself, or what would be the word?
The word for
Opposite of praise.
Praise.
Oh, like putting yourself down?
But yeah, scolding.
Yeah.
Scolding.
Yeah. And yesterday I just realized, oh my God, like, is it possible that I do this that much?
It is. Yes.
And I was like, give yourself a break, get out of your own way.
Good. Yeah,
Good
because
for you.
Yeah, you have both your Sun and Mercury in Virgo, and Virgo tends to get judgy to others, and also judgy inside to yourself, and your thinking tends to get judgmental. Yeah.
The phrase I would use, the kind of descriptor I use for Virgo is I analyze. So when you analyze something, you can very much analyze it to death, and you can get so critical and so obsessive and excessive. And when your mind is in that sign, that's how we think, how we communicate, how we function in our world. And it's really important to know, yep, I'm really critical on myself, and I'm not going to do that shit today. I'm going to go sit and watch a movie with a fuzzy blanket and eat ice cream. Leave me alone, right? Like you can talk to yourself like that. I have to do it frequently. Be like, I'm not taking that today. No, nope. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for trying to move me forward. But today I'm going to sit on a couch and I'm going to use this Sirius in Taurus, and I'm not going to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing or should be doing, right? I'm going to do nothing. Yeah. And girl, I'm actually just taking my own advice right now. Right now. I feel
And
that.
you're also asking about your finances. So you're asking about career, your work, and finances. And finances rules the second house, which is the one we're talking about you needing to feel nurtured, nurtured in a way of maybe then knowing that you have a home that you own, or that you have resources in the bank. That is really important for your own nourishment, or like the fridge full of food and things like that. And for the past couple of, has it been a couple of years, where you have had Uranus in the second house for a long time now, shaking things up. So
and
I wouldn't
opposite your natal Saturn too.
Yeah, opposite your Saturn. So I wouldn't be surprised if things, if your finances have been very disturbed, or maybe not the money per se, but maybe the solids of your life, like your home or your nourishment or things like that, things that is the foundation of our like values, the things that we value and
Have you felt that since this would have started in about 2018? Have you felt your stability kind of get shaken up since 2018?
Well, I actually never had financial stability, so I don't know how it feels.
Right. I feel that.
What I've seen and learned in past couple of months is that I actually do feel better when I have some money saved. But I'm talking like, this was like really small amount of money that I had for 2 or 3 months in my account, let's say maybe $30, but it made me feel really, really good, and somehow safe that I have this $30 in my savings account.
Yeah.
And this was basically first time in my life that I saved money. I did like, things shifted for me during my life. I've been earning more and more and more for the past 10 years, or maybe more, 10, 12 to 13 years. Like, I've been earning, let's say, $200, then $400 a month, then 800, then I don't know, 1,200, and it kept increasing. But lately, like in the past couple of months, it's like a little bit decreasing.
Going down.
What I've been feeling. And I did get a lot of money from my father, like 2021, February, something like that.
Okay. That would make sense with the Uranus would have been pretty much opposite Saturn in the 8th house. And the 8th house is other people's money, and Saturn rules the father. So that actually, when I had a transit similar to that about 4 years back, and my father gave me and my 2 brothers like an inheritance. He sold his business and he said, I'd rather you have this now than wait until I die. So he gave us each a chunk for inheritance, and it was right during a transit like that for me. It was actually kind of spot on, and that would be the same for you. So a sudden influx of money, a sudden outflow of money, but Saturn is responsibilities, and make sure you use this money wisely, right? Like, be smart about it kind of thing, but it's other people's money. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what happened, and it actually opened up for me. I saw all the beliefs that I had around money and how I didn't feel safe having it and stuff that I'm still working on. But what's interesting for me is that people come to me mostly to work on money blocks in hypnotherapy. And I'm like,
isn't that interesting?
Okay, I don't have my shit together, and they keep coming.
You have something that they need, though.
Everything settled, you know?
You definitely carry an energy that they need. That's probably this nurturing. You're very nurturing towards other people. when it comes to money issues and money blocks. You're very caring and understanding and non-judgmental about it. And that's what they're seeing you for. And that's the energy they feel. That's serious. You help to nurture them around their financial illnesses and, yucky energy. And in turn, that keeps healing you and nurturing you. It's this give and take. That's the Libra and Venus too. Venus and Libra, excuse me. Having Venus in the sign of Libra, Venus is how we bring in our money, and you bring in money working one-on-one really well, like helping people find harmony, find balance, find peace. That's your jam, girl. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen, I think, in human design, my unconscious, this is why it's not clear to me, because it's unconscious, but I do have this stuff that I should help people around money, but I just don't feel it logically.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
You may start to this year. Once Saturn starts to transit through Pisces, he's going to be activating that sign for you and really helping you to lean into that unconscious energy. That's Pisces. And your wisdom is in the unconscious. So that makes a lot of sense that that's where that would be. And you still have it. But for you, it's almost like it's hidden, like behind the curtain, right? Other people can see it, though. Other people can feel it, which is why you're attracting them for this healing energy. So what other questions do you have? I know there was one on children, correct?
Yeah, it was on children because I also feel like I can't do both children and work. I mean, I probably can, but like this is how I feel that I'm not able to do it.
Yep.
And yeah, this is my question. Will there be any more children, and will I be able to, balance everything?
It's a
Like
great
being
question.
a mother again to a baby after so much time. My daughter is now 13.
Right. Right.
So do you want another kid?
Yes.
Okay. So that is when I see an empty fourth and an empty fifth house, the interpretation I have is that it is entirely your choice. It is entirely up to you. And for you, your fourth house of parenting and your fifth house of procreation are both in Gemini. And Gemini is very, will I be able to? Won't I be able to? Can I do it? I don't know. Yes, I can. No, I can't. So that feeling you have is never going to go away. Ever. And the answer is yes and yes. Like it depends on you. It really, really is kind of in your hands. And from a mom who is currently pregnant, and then a week after having this baby, my oldest will turn 14. It is very trippy. It's very trippy in your mind. And yes, you can do it. Absolutely. Will you be able to? I don't see any. Helena, do you see anything that's like a negative or a no? I don't see anything jumping
I think
out.
that could be Virgo, just very much analyzing. Will I be able to do this? And thinking a lot, maybe even overthinking something.
Yeah.
But you have to think about these things, of course. But I feel like if you want to have another kid, I think you should go for it, and the rest will probably sort itself out. And you have Mars.
I was just looking at that right there.
Yeah.
Mars is transiting your fourth house, and then he'll transit into your fifth house. That's real good energy for baby making.
Yeah. So for sure, when Mars comes into your fifth house, it's a good time to start trying.
That's get it on, girl. That's
okay,
what that
so
is.
This is soon in a couple of months, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So and you're going to have that wishy-washy back and forth feeling. That's going to be how you parent. You can't have Gemini in your fourth house of parenting and not have that. And it's something you had as a child. Did you have parents that were kind of on and off, or how was your upbringing with that?
Uh, um, well, yeah, like my father was absent a lot.
Okay. That would make sense for Gemini.
And yeah, and like my mother was always there, but she had problems with alcohol. So
Mhm.
in some ways, she wasn't there, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
She
So she was
wasn't
physically
there.
there, but what? Yep. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and she was like, cooking meals, keeping the home clean. Nobody would ever said that she actually had a problem.
Right.
So she was there to, making sure that we eat, that we have clean clothes, everything. But, she was emotionally absent. Yeah.
Yes. 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 All of that. I have a Gemini rising and a Gemini moon, and I feel that very profoundly. It's an energy that it's not a bad thing. I love my mom. I don't blame her for anything, but
Mm.
that's kind of that generation before us. They were very much in survival mode, and
Yeah.
as long as you had a home and you had food and things were clean, you had a good life. That was good. But that emotional need wasn't there, which is why your moon is in Aquarius, because that's really how we viewed our mother. And you viewed your mother very chaotically. She was there, she wasn't, she was present, but she wasn't emotionally present. There's just a lot of fluctuation. And that would very much be how an Aquarius moon shows up, which that one stings a little bit because my 2-year-old has an Aquarius moon. I'm like, oh, yep, that's me.
My
Yep, sorry.
daughter also. Yeah.
Oh,
My daughter also has
interesting.
Aquarius moon. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's how that generational stuff shows up. It keeps showing up that way. So I think for you, the answer is, if you'd like children, if you'd like more, absolutely go for it and get it on. If not, then that's your choice too. Gemini gives you a choice, and not having any strong planets in these houses also gives you a choice. And then of course Mars is up here next to Uranus. So when you do, and if that is your choice and you do that, it is going to be chaos. It is going to cause some disruption in your career. Just expect it. Like, know that that's going to happen, and that the chaos will settle. Just know that you wanting to add another child is your own weird way of rebelling and stirring the pot, just so you know. Like that's what that is. That's you going, oh, let me really stir the pot now, right? It's okay.
Well,
I do that.
it's like my boyfriend doesn't have children, and
Okay.
we are really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not just me.
Good.
No, I was gonna ask, does your partner want to have a kid? Yeah.
Yeah, he really, really wants this. So it's really important to him.
What I would suggest real quick is, because in the next month, there's going to be so much entering Pisces, and Pisces is very spiritual, and you are stepping into your spiritual self and stepping into all of your intuition. I really advise you to journal this out, and journal to your future child, should you choose to go that route. Journal to them and say, hey, I'm looking forward to you coming. I'm ready for you. I know you're going to bring a bunch of chaos, because that's how this is going to go. And I welcome it, and I welcome the change. And I'm, just connect with them in a writing form. We had 5.5 years of fertility issues when we were trying to get pregnant with our first one. And journaling to my children was a lifesaver for me. It gave me some sort of sanity when I felt insane while I was waiting for them. And now I'm actually writing a book and including all of those journals into it. And it's really profound to kind of be on this end of the spectrum now. So I really encourage you to really tap into your wisdom with your connection with spirit, and utilize that, because it's very strong in you in your first house, and you have so much amazing connection with all of the woo, all of the weirdness, right? And very, very connected with relationship. And that's the ultimate relationship, is a parent and a child. So dig into that and really, put that energy out there. There's so much science behind vibrations and speaking things out and writing things out and putting energy out there and becoming magnetic. Right?
Yeah.
Does that feel like something you could do, or it feels good to you?
It does. I'm not sure how long I will do it. I
That's
tend to,
okay.
I tend to have, maybe some people would say it's like imbalance. Also with astrology, as I said, and with all the other things that I'm learning. I have like periods when I'm learning all day for, I don't know, 2 months, but then I don't learn anything for another 2.
Yep.
So the same thing with journaling. I do it consistently for a month or 2. I did the morning pages, and then I stop
Of
for some
course.
time.
Because the car you drive randomly runs out of gas. When you have Mars next to Uranus, you randomly you're not interested in that anymore. Don't judge yourself on that. I can feel you judging yourself a little bit on that.
I do, yeah.
Don't
Because, everybody telling you consistency is the key, and I just know that my key is something else.
Yeah, it's actually not your key. Your key is opposite
Yeah.
of consistency.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Your key is
exactly.
to do this and then not to
And then
do it.
switch. And then
Yeah.
circle back around, right? It's almost
Yeah,
like you
that's
have
what I
this
do.
wheel of boredom, right? You stay here for a little bit and then you get bored, you go to this, and then you go to this, and you keep going around the wheel, and eventually you'll come back around. This is, girl, I feel you so much. I have so much similar energy, and that's how I function. And really, when I started really accepting that about myself, it started to flow a lot better. So take that Virgo judgy lady and name her, give her a name, and be like, Karen, sit down, right? No.
Yeah, no, for sure. Embrace that your learning spurts will really come in like in spurts, and they won't be consistent. They will come like a lot and then nothing and then a lot.
Yep. Sagittarius gets bored too. Sagittarius gets real bored real fast. It's okay.
Yeah, it does.
So notice when I asked you to journal, I didn't give you a specific time or rules. I just said journal. And then you were like, well, I won't do it consistently. I don't care. Baby doesn't care, right? Like that doesn't matter. And that's your superpower. Embrace the spurts. That's your superpower. That's really where you thrive. It really is. Does that help you? Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, that makes me feel great.
Astrology is all about just start to accept yourself.
I can now take all the marketing expert advice and just,
honestly, because the marketing experts were not looking at your chart and going, oh, actually, you thrive in little bursts of chaos. Do this, then switch. Do this, switch, come back to that, go back to that. Like that's where you thrive. So eventually it is consistent. It's just consistent in your own weird way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I've had this with my German classes. Like I have online Facebook, Instagram, and stuff. And I didn't post consistently. I do it like for 2 months and then off again.
Yep.
In these 2 months, I get many clients. I then work a lot. Then I come back to posting. I get new clients, and this is how it went, and it was great. And I wanted to do this with hypnotherapy. And then I listened to one person, to another person, to third person, all the experts, and it's just boring for me. I don't like it.
No, for sure. You need to just like everyone's unique. The same format doesn't work for everyone. Find what works for you, and that's, like I said, that's what astrology is about, to really find acceptance for yourself and start understanding yourself and work with the energies instead of against them.
Yeah. And when you have Uranus on your 10th house, right at this, top of your chart, and then you're an Aquarius rising with an Aquarius moon, girl, you cannot do consistent. Stop trying.
No.
Stop. You're going to drive your Virgo mind crazy trying to be consistent. The consistency comes when you do all of the weird random things when you need to. You'll come back to the stuff. This is how I do all of my hobbies, and I crochet. It took me like 20 years to finish a blanket because I kept doing it a few pieces at a time. I eventually finished it, but I kept coming back around. That's what you're going to do with your career and with anything that drives you and motivates you. Mars and Uranus together, it's just not, that doesn't spell consistency at all.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
Good. Good. That's what I want to do, is provide like validation, right? You can listen to all of the marketing experts and you can take bits and pieces from them, but don't try to do them. You do you, which is weird. So make sure it's weird.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions or anything else we can help you with today, my dear?
No idea. I think not.
That was enough for you, huh?
We covered a lot.
Yeah,
Kids,
we've covered
work,
a lot.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you so much for taking the leap and being on. I know that was uncomfortable for you, and I'm sure you had all kinds of judgment. And we appreciate you doing it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I was a bit, how do I say this? Is it stage fright?
Yeah.
Well, when I asked in the forum, how do you feel about doing this? And your answer was like something like, it feels fun, but I'm also a bit scared.
Yeah, because it was like, because of the talking, in English and stuff. But when I listened to the podcast and I heard you, Helena, I was like, okay, I won't be alone.
No, a European sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much today for being on the show. We so appreciate it, and we can't wait to check back in with you in a few months. We'll have you back on and see how things are going for you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and I really did enjoy this. I didn't have the feeling that something was being recorded, so
good.
Amazing.
That was great and fun and deep. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's so
Take
nice
care.
to hear.